Welcome to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast, recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois. We're all about thriving marriages and living free from alcohol. Welcome to episode 103 for April 14th, 2025.
Hello there, children. Welcome back to the Alcohol-Free Marriage and More podcast. I am Matt, along with the always lovely and dancy over there, apparently. Coach Amy, how are you, my love?
I'm good. You know how they have those memes or reels where you have the one person who gets up in the morning and they're calm and they're just kind of like doing their thing, and then you have the crazy one who's like dancing around. Woo!
You are that way, yes, 100%. But I will give you a little bit of grace because you do wake up like an hour before I do. So by the time when I wake up, I'm just waking up.
I do my Bible recap.
You do your breathing.
Do some breathing.
You know,
listen to either a Daily Fire from Brendan Burchard or something to get me going.
So when I wake up, I've been up 5 minutes. When you get out of bed, you've been up like an hour and 5 minutes. So it is a little different. I will give you that, but still a little much sometimes in the morning. You also do it right before bed too. I'm like tired, winding down. I
am that little kid. You know, some kids get like when you know that they're about ready to crash.
Oh,
because they're like, what? They're doing the whole like crazy, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, they're out. That's me.
Yeah, you're a bit like Boo from Monsters Incorporated. Well, welcome back, children. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all those fun things. We always have awesome links down below, like to our guest interview today, as well as our Beyond Spirits, the 7 tips to start your AF journey, and of course, Amy, that weekly marriage guide.
Yep, our weekly marriage meeting guide. We did part of that. This one is like a continuation this weekend. We started that this morning when we went on a walk.
But that's the thing I like about it. You don't have to like sit down at a desk and have a conversation like we do on a walk sometimes.
Well, I think at the beginning you do.
Well, yeah.
Because maybe you haven't had some structure around this. But once you really get into that groove, I think it was really nice this morning. We were able to see a dove and then watch a hawk come in and
tack the nest.
That
was awesome.
But you know what? I don't know about you, but I am all about happy nature.
Yeah, more like the Bambi
and
nature.
That's not really the way nature is.
No,
even Bambi, no.
Well, there was a hunter.
There was the fire. The whole forest burned down, Matt.
Yeah, but they all got out.
And the hunter killed the mom.
Yeah, but that's a hunter. That's not nature against nature.
Okay. It was not. Fire is bad too. So, I mean.
I tried to scare the hawk away. Hawks do not care.
Yeah, that hawk was like.
Whatever,
yeah,
dude. Yeah,
buddy.
I'll peck your eyes out.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? You messing with me?
He did not flinch. He's like, whatever, I'm going to go get my egg now.
I was so sad.
That and last year we had bunnies falling from the sky. So it's a thing in the cornfields, kids.
What is up with us? Why? What is happening?
I think I can make my own nature documentary. We do have an awesome interview, though, coming up with Susie, and we have our drink of the week. But I want to touch on a quick news story, Coach Amy. There's always interesting news, booze news out there.
And I am not aware of this, so this will
Well, no, you're very aware of this.
Reaction.
It's just reinforcing the truth about alcohol in your brain. Scientists actually put a number on the years it takes off, heavy drinking takes off of your life. Heavy drinking, which is 8 or more drinks per week, according to this.
Which I want to tell everybody, it took me a long time to realize that I was a heavy drinker. I wasn't really wanting to admit it.
Right. But we were. Yeah. 8's easy to get to when you're continually drinking. As we know, the risk is 7 different types of cancer, your sleep disruption, your mental well-being. But they found that heavy drinkers, so those had 8 or more drinks per week, died on average 13 years earlier than non-drinkers.
Wow.
Additionally, this is not awesome for me. Additionally, formerly heavy drinkers had greater cognitive decline, as I can't speak, than non-drinkers. So even former heavy drinkers tend to still, and it's all about the brain.
But then when you have to look at that, like when I'm going to kind of push back on that, because what like, did those former drinkers, like, all of a sudden they were told you have to quit drinking
Well,
now?
that's just it. There's a lot of so they did say so for cognitive decline, heavy drinkers had a 133% higher chance of developing vascular brain lesions.
I know it scares me.
But compared to non-drinkers, even adjusting for age, smoking, and activity. So that's kind of some of your questions. So adjusting for all that, heavy drinkers had 130. Wow. But still, former heavy and moderate drinkers, so that would be you and I, showed elevated risks at 60 to 80% higher. So half of what a current heavy drinker would have. But
we're fighting back, Matt.
Yeah. So we're
fighting back. We are trying to do all the longevity hacks, and I'll tell you what, us not drinking is going to help us with the hacks, because how many people do I know and you know who are like trying to do all the longevity things, or like doing this, and they're still pounding everything back, or
look for every reason that I'm having a certain problem except alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, and this kind of ties into this. I showed you the other day. I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he was interviewing. I can't remember the guy's name, but talking about his not drinking, and Joe goes, "Well, yeah, I quit drinking a month ago." And I just listened to that podcast and was like, whoa. So if you see the little snippet, the reel, and you're thinking, oh, that's not true. No, if you haven't listened, it was. And he's just kind of like, why am I doing all of these great things for my body to twice a week consume something that is basically, undoing or
slows down
harming
your body basically holds on to all your fat.
So I think that's really interesting.
So I guess the lesson of that story, kids, is quit while you're ahead. It's never too late to quit.
Well, and I'll tell you what, when you are older, you are not going to rebound like you used to. And then you wake up and you're like, I am having a really difficult time not drinking. And that is incredibly frustrating. Like, I don't want to do this, but yet I'm still doing it.
Right. Well, but when you don't want to drink, but you want to have a great steak dinner, we found an awesome new wine on the drink of the week.
That's really good.
We wandered through our local Bennies, as we do from time to time.
Which, if you're following me on Instagram, we did a whole little reel where we show how many options our local Bennies has, which actually,
and that doesn't even show everything, because behind you is some more stacks of cases of NA stuff.
But it was just really nice. I mean, how many, and they have, I guess it was probably about a year ago where they put it all together.
Yeah.
So it's everything, the wine, the mixed drinks.
If we could just get all the bitter in there, it would be the trifecta.
Oh, I know. That would be great.
I know. I don't know what that involves, but
I don't either. Someday.
But we found this wine called One of One, which literally it was the only bottle they had left, which is sometimes how I pick things out. I'm like, you know what? If there's not much of it, there must be something to it. So we got they only have three. I think they have a red, a white, and like a sparkling white. We got the red, the cab.
It was good.
And we on your little video, we tried it live. We did we did Instagram live because we're so awesome. But, but we
trying to keep it hip.
So all the bitters, just speaking of them actually, is a great way to sexy up a not so awesome wine or a not so awesome NA beer. But this wine didn't need it.
I don't think it needed it.
I mean, it didn't.
I love all the bitter, and I love putting it in.
Oh yeah.
It does add it does add more zing.
Like free totally benefits from all the bitter. 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But this one is, it was like $15.99 at Benny's, which is about average for an NA wine. They kind of go up and down from there. But you enjoyed it, didn't you?
I did. I really liked it. I thought this is a solid wine that a solid red that I would be willing to get. And
90 calories for the whole bottle.
It's up there. I mean, I really like Gießen.
I would put it in the same tier as Gießen. Yeah.
And we have another bottle of something in the refrigerator that I grabbed.
Oh yeah, I forget what that was.
I know, but it's kind of fun because I used to buy bottles of wine based on the artwork.
And that's what you did with this one.
I'm like, oh, this is cool. And so now there's this
sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't work out.
Yeah, so.
But you know what did work out, Amy, is our interview with Susie.
Oh my gosh, Susie is so awesome. And let me see here. I'm going to open this up. and it's Susie Steelman who we are interviewing, and she is the passionate founder of Zeroproof Experiences, an innovative venture creating memorable sober in the city weekends, which redefine the concept of fun without alcohol. While Susie was a former imbiber of Chardonnay, red blends, Sauvignon Blanc, she has moved from feeling reliant on alcoholic beverages for socializing, vacations, and special events to feeling empowerment in her newfound path. She resides in Long Beach with her husband of over 30 years. She's close to her two adult sons, and during her leisure time, she enjoys playing golf, practicing yoga, and unwinding in the jacuzzi while planning her next adventure. And we're going to talk more about Zeroproof Experiences as well. So let's go to that interview. Thank you for coming on. This is our new friend, Susie Steelman. And she is one of, are you the founder of the Zeroproof Experiences or a co? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so. And I work very closely now. Peggy Cooney came on board right away, really, as our chief connection officer. And I can't let her go.
I love that. I love that. So tell us and tell our audience, a little bit about where you're from, where you're at in the world, if you're married, if you have kids, or, a little bit about you.
Oh, awesome. So I'm Susie. I live in Long Beach, California. And I have been married for either 32 or 33 years, a long time, to the same man. And we have two boys that are adults and no longer live with us. After, COVID, we had kind of a big, beautiful household. And so, yeah, it's kind of a little more quiet now. I love health. I love wellness. I like yoga. I love travel. I love golf. And
awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Well, why don't we just kind of start from the beginning where you would like to start? We like to share our stories here. Matt and I's motto here is if we can help just one person with a story that connects with them, that's kind of our philosophy with our podcast. So if you want to share wherever you would like to start with your story. And
okay, sounds good. And yeah, it's fun to see you, like real moving people. I have been following you on Instagram for quite a while. And it's really nice to have you here, Matt, in the space too. I mean, we all just have to say that alcohol-free Instagram is a lot of women. And it's really great to have your perspective here too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So my story is, I was kind of an expert breaker from alcohol. So I have a long history. Yes, I did consider myself an expert at taking breaks from alcohol. Maybe for the last 15 years, even before I decided to take a serious group break, which has been over 4 years now. So I guess it was in my early 40s, I went to the doctor and my liver enzymes were a little elevated and, not terrible. And let's say that I certainly drank more than I would have preferred on quite a few occasions. I was also very, very interested always in nutrition, wellness, trying to stay in shape. So that actually really got my attention. And so just like the doctor said, I took a 1-month break, went back, and he said, "Oh, your liver enzymes are fine." And I said, "Great." So I went, right back to, I actually kind of, toned it down a little, but then it would sort of easily creep back up. You may or may not know what I'm talking about, but, it would creep back up. And then because of that, though, I kind of always, I found a way to get that rechecked. I might have even joined a study of some kind where I had to get several blood tests done every couple of weeks or something, and I always paid particular note to the liver enzymes, and they kind of fluctuated. And you know what? I did search the internet for a lot of other reasons why my liver enzymes might have been high. And if you search Dr. Google, you can find it. But
it's not the alcohol. It's everything but the alcohol every time, all the time.
But you know what it actually was? It was the alcohol.
Yeah.
That's well, and you went and I mean, you had it checked, and when you said that my liver enzymes were elevated, that was
my story too.
That was yours.
Yeah. So my doctor just told me just to stick to 2 beers a night and I'll be okay. So, it depends on your doctor's point of view, I guess.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Right.
I love how you said you were a professional taking a break. Yeah.
Your liver enzymes and all these, did you just keep watching your enzymes and kind of drink this roller coaster of blood work type thing, or what'd you do?
Yeah, I did. I mean, that was really quite a while ago. And so then, for example, I would plan, I was a runner too. I'm currently kind of doing other things like some weightlifting and just yoga, different things. But I actually ran 5 different marathons.
Wow.
And 20 half marathons over the years. Marathons are pretty hard and, a lot of fun parts to that training. But I'll tell you one thing that, it's hard to drink a lot of alcohol when you're training for a marathon. So, part of me, like, I'm not sure if I planned the marathon because I wanted to do that or because I wanted to take a break from alcohol. It was sort of the chicken or the egg thing. And so, so that was just kind of off and on. I would take a break for Lent, 50 days, which I thought was like incredibly long time. And then there was the celebratory champagne on Easter. But during COVID, so I was getting, like I said, I was an expert. I do a dry January. I did a couple of Lents. I mean, that's a really long time.
Wow.
Somewhere during COVID, I think we were all at our house eating more and drinking more than normal. And, it was like maybe late 2020. And I'm like, this is all changing, taking a break. I signed up with Sober Sis, actually met Jen Couch and a lot of other lovely, lovely women on that connective group. Mm-hmm. And so, I went in there. I just immediately, because I was already professional at taking like 30-day breaks. So I signed up for the 4-month duo.
Okay. Yeah.
And I went through and, made a lot of friends, learned a lot of, I think one thing that I had never really looked at before was the marketing. And I think you don't notice that when you take a shorter break, right? Because a shorter break, like say for a month or 50 days, I would often find myself retreating a bit socially because it was just going to be 30 days or it was just going to be a little longer. And then I was going to be back out doing the quote unquote normal things. But when you're taking a break for like, say, 4 months, you can't quite do that. I was thinking
you can't hide away for 4 months, right?
Well, yeah, or like I didn't want to, right? Because somewhere I think for me, and it's kind of interesting, isn't it? How there's a certain time period where it might click for you, and I think it's pretty rare that it clicks within 30 days. Honestly, right? That's kind of the most common break?
I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I did the 21 days and then I had to add on there. It was like, it's going to add a little bit more time on here because I just don't think it's enough time to really see what life is like.
Right. Yeah, definitely. That was for me. So personally, I think it was around 6 months that what really happened for me, even though when I started that break, I had absolutely zero intention of this being a long-term plan or solution because that did not make sense at all.
Right.
It was around 6 months where I said, you know what? I like the non-alcohol lifestyle, the alcohol-free lifestyle, better than drinking wine every night.
I love it.
And I'm curious with your quitting. So you're a professional quitter, which I think it's for the podcast, a professional quitter. Did that fool you? I guess I have two kind of questions. One, did that psychologically kind of trick you into thinking, well, I must be okay. I can quit a month and I'm fine, so I can keep on drinking. So did that sort of trick you into keeping going? But did what keep you going back to quitting? Was it like ramped up again? Like, oh, I don't have it under control. What was the dynamic like?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah, because I was very professional quitter, but then I think what would happen, it was gradually ramp up a bit. And typically, there'd just be more occasions, right? Like how it's kind of hard to choose. Do you have the one or two glasses of wine for the week at the bridal shower or with your friends for dinner Thursday night, or is it after golf on Saturday? And so, maybe it ramped up a little bit. And then what if you take a trip, right? That's kind of when it was for me, and it was just more. And I do think you get a little bit used to like your energy, your health is a little better when you drink less than you drink more. And I came home feeling tired, right?
Right.
Not fantastic. So I would kind of like dial it way back in or sign up for a marathon, right?
Yeah.
Force yourself to not do it.
Yeah, it was built in. It was like, okay, well, I'm training, right? And then it's like I'm not drinking.
But they all sound like tricks to try and moderate without quitting, right? Like, oh, if I run, then I can't drink, or all these rules. Sounds like you're putting a lot of rules around yourself. Well, I have only 2 with this, and only right. It sounds like you're doing a lot of mental gymnastics there, maybe.
Matt, I feel very called out right now.
Well, it's because I've been in that chair before, so I get
it. Yeah. I think you make a good point. There's just like, I mean, you could make a whole spreadsheet, right? About
all right. Oh yeah.
When is the appropriate reason to have a beverage, and that's another thing that I realized. I had more headspace. That was one of the things that I liked about the alcohol-free lifestyle. I didn't really have to worry about if I was going to be able to go to the gym on Wednesday morning or Friday morning, or if I should, cut back. Because, like, for example, I used to teach a spin class on Friday morning, and it's one thing to go to a class, but to teach a class, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, a lot of figuring in your mind that was just gone. And it's so, in my experience, it's just my experience, so much less difficult and freeing, honestly, to just say, you know what? I'm a non-drinker.
Oh, yeah. Amy, how many times this podcast have I said I'd rather drink or not drink? Moderation is just way too much. Yeah, spreadsheets and mental gymnastics. It's like just drink and don't worry about it, or don't drink. It's way easier to your side, I think.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, the way I was drinking a lot of times, like, it's not really drinking, right? I mean, we all have a few friends that you've maybe grown up with or whatever. And, I'm like, you're not a real drinker, right? The friend that has like a glass of wine and they don't finish it. Like, you don't really like
that. Yeah. I always call that alcohol abuse if you didn't finish your drink.
Yeah. We call them those are the magical unicorns in our life. And my sister is one of them. And my brother-in-law, we were the people they would
drink with.
Like, they're like, oh, we're going to go on vacation and see my sister. That's when we drink, like once a year. Yeah. Or they would have like a glass of wine, and I would give it to my sister and go, okay, here's a glass of wine. And an hour later, it's like, have you drank any of it? And I'm like looking at it going, if you're not going to drink that, I'll take care of it.
Right. So funny.
Yeah. But I love that. Then they're not really the
They're,
drinkers.
No.
they're not really drinkers. What are you folks drinking this evening?
Oh, well, tonight I am drinking. This podcast is brought to you by Hop Water. What beer drinkers drink when they're out of non-alcoholic beer in their refrigerator at night?
Yeah, I like
I did not go buy beer this week.
I'm one of these people who I used, and I still do. I do love having a mocktail. I love that. I love in all it. But my favorite thing to drink is I love lime and a little bit of salt in my water. And I will.
Interesting.
And
she's not getting scurvy anytime soon.
And I drink it all day. I love it. I think it has something to do with the salt on the rim of a margarita. I think there is some kind of trigger there with me, but I just love it. And it tastes so good and it's refreshing. And people look at me like, what? And I go, a little Himalayan salt, and I'm hydrated and I feel great. And I've been doing that for probably about 2 years. I saw there was like a hydration challenge, and they recommended just a little bit of Himalayan salt in your water and lemon, and not a huge. Lemons are fine, but I really like lime.
We go through a lot of limes. Sam's Club limes.
We go through a lot of lime.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me just say, I'm not sure how long you've been alcohol free.
It's been just over 5 years.
Okay. So
yeah.
So a little while ago, before there was much in the alcohol-free industry.
Yeah.
And actually, the first person that helped change the way I thought about alcohol, even before Sobersis, was James Swanwick. I did his 30-day challenge, just for fun in 2017. And one thing at that time that was missing was the non-alcoholic beverage industry. And I remember him talking, so you just reminded me, he liked to order soda water with a slice of lime. Like that was just his go-to. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I have said often, and I kind of feel that this still holds true, that when I'm out at a restaurant or at a friend's house or, even at home during a party, I'm about 30% happier if I myself have something special to drink. Mm-hmm. And while non-alcoholic beverages are not for everybody, my experience has been a complete game changer.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. That's why we love doing our drink of the week and featuring different things. And you're right. For some people, this is everybody's own independent journey, right? But for many people, it's either it's a placebo or it's something to hold when you're out. I probably have an NA beer probably every night just because that was my old habit. I actually like the taste of beer. I enjoy it. We buy NA wines. You have all the bitter out there with their NA bitters and so many good, we actually, ironically, we got rid of our martini set when we quit drinking. We're like, we don't need this stupid thing. Then we started making more mixed drinks as sober non-drinkers.
Off we went.
So we had to buy a new martini set.
We've used it more than we have ever when we were alcoholic drinkers.
That's great. And actually I wonder if that industry had started up then in 2017, if I would have been sort of a little bit more ahead. I can't say, but if I'm honest, I'm not sure that I would be here without the non-alcoholic beverage industry. And that's really how important it is to me. So, thankful and grateful for all those new brands. I was just at an event yesterday sharing with a gal that had no idea the difference in calories. Not that calories are the most important thing, but most of the non-alcoholic wines that I enjoy are about 20 to 25 calories for an 8-ounce pour. Whereas I know, a regular 5-ounce pour of wine, that is the official serving size for
and who does that? Come on now, right?
It's around 100 calories, right? Depending on the wine. And she said, "What? You're kidding." Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
well,
mean, I
beer's
used
the
to
same
tell
way,
people,
right?
I'm like, you don't realize I can drink now. This whole NA bottle has as basically the same amount of calories as the one glass that I was drinking. Well, and my size of glass,
Well,
you know,
especially yeah.
would have been at least an 8 ounce. It was probably
And
an
Amy
8
pour was
ounce.
pretty heavy-handed.
It was a heavy-handed
Pretty
pour.
heavy-handed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been known to drink a whole bottle of alcohol-free wine. I do
me too.
sometimes. Yeah. And
I
we
have,
can. It's pretty
and there's
cool.
no regrets.
Right.
And
Yeah.
As I realize I'm sitting here wearing my Go Brewing hat with my Go Brewing sweatshirt, my Go Brewing t-shirt. I'm like apparently a fanboy today. It just happened to work that way. But
yeah, it's
awesome.
so go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. So how do you go from, so you quit drinking and you're feeling great, and how do you get into this? Where does the new program, where's this new event thing come to mind? Do you have a background in that? Like, how do you get there?
Yeah. So it was hard. Don't ask. It was hard. I just did it. No.
It's magic.
I'm teasing, right? But yeah, I was starting to get out more, right? Because I couldn't stay inside. And going out to dinner was often one of my very favorite things to do with family and friends. I like to be social. And I found that when I had a dinner on the schedule, I was like, already it's 3 days from now, and I'm starting to stress a little bit about what I'm going to order. There's a lot of pressure. Really, like the only reason I would want to have a drink is because I would make everybody else feel more comfortable. And I thought that was kind of a dumb reason to have a drink in my 50s. So there was that. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice if like one time you walked into a dinner and everything was sort of set up for you as an alcohol-free person? And, I just started like a little Instagram account, and I started talking with some beverage companies, and some of the gals that I had met in Sober Sis made a list. And, some of us got together. We sort of just put together a grassroots dinner here in downtown Long Beach. We had about 45 women. Some people, we discovered that most people flew. It wasn't just people from here. And we got a little hotel block. We had a beautiful time. We were sponsored by Liars and Hops Water. And you mentioned all the bitters. They helped us a little bit too. So it was, it was kind of magical, honestly, to walk into a dinner, and we had the alcohol-free cocktails, a variety of them. We had a beautiful dinner. And it was like, hey, this alcohol-free life could actually be more, not less. Mm-hmm. And that was in January of 2022, kind of a celebratory end to dry January. And it's hard to believe that it has grown into a whole weekend, and we're looking forward to our 9th Sober in the City event this May in Scottsdale, Arizona.
It looks amazing.
And how many times a year does Sober in the City take place?
We've had, we're going to do it once this year. Okay. But the first year we did 3. Yeah. And, that was a little bit much. So we're doing 1 this year, and we'll actually also have a small group travel event, which this is brand new. I've barely shared it with anybody, but it looks as if we will be taking what I believe is the world's first non-alcoholic wine tasting trip to Germany in the fall.
Wow.
So, just
that sounds exciting.
Somebody's ears just perked up a lot.
little dangler. So that's just going to be a small group trip. But Scottsdale, what our Sober in the City weekend experiences are really meant to be a celebration of the alcohol-free lifestyle, a place to connect, to network, to meet and learn what is the latest that's going on in the alcohol-free space. So we're pretty excited about this one. We try to pick a nice resort. So, not too high, but but a nice resort. So this year we'll be at the Andes in Scottsdale, and that kind of brings about some sort of dreamy outdoor venue spaces. We have Alex, the sober yoga girl, actually coming over from Bali. We're kicking it off with a meet and greet pajama party on Friday evening.
That will be amazing.
Right? Doesn't that sound fun? We've got a sound bath. You know, when we first had really just the dinners, we realized it's kind of hard to come into a fancy dinner without connecting with people ahead of time. So, initially we just added like a little meet and greet on Friday night. Then later, like even before we do that, now we do a solo social, which this year will be hosted by a couple of great friends, Terry Patterson and Sarah Showard. And we have found out that about 60 to 70% of people come all by themselves.
Really?
So
wow.
I think that's very, very brave. And it just shows too that, I mean, I know, don't we always, you want to create what you really needed, right? You needed to connect with other people that are valuing this alcohol-free experience. And even more than valuing and appreciate it, they want to kind of take it to the next level and really show that vibrant life. It is 100% more, not less. So yeah, Friday is meant to be pretty casual, but we do have some great food and alcohol-free beverages. And then Saturday, we have all kinds of breakout sessions. So again, we'll offer yoga. We've got Brigitte, a Reiki master, and we have a couple of sessions about the nervous system regulation, which is a pretty hot topic. It's kind of interesting to see how the wellness space is kind of intermingling, in my opinion, with the alcohol-free space. And to me, I think it's kind of a perfect marriage.
Yeah. It's nice to see it coming in, that because we see so many times, especially here, and I know you probably have it too. It's like, okay, yoga at the brewery, and then you get to have your beer after you've done all of this fantastic relaxation and you're all peaceful. And now let's go ahead and have a drink
up all
and
those bad chemicals in your body. Yeah.
Yeah, they offer it at wineries here down
yeah,
a couple hours down the road in Temecula area.
yeah. And so it really doesn't make sense that it's not what you're creating.
No, it doesn't make sense. And it's starting to change in the wellness space. It's starting to change all over, right? That you're seeing options. And, admittedly, I get a little bit picky because I've had a lot of great options. I can see that you have too.
Yeah.
And, we think it's kind of fun too, that it's not all just about not drinking, right? That wellness aspect is intermingled. And then we're doing some fun things, like we have Sarah Siegel with Cella Makeup, and she's going to do like a brow makeup demo and just kind of help you out if you want to. You can maybe pass on that one, Matt, and do something else. But the other thing that we'll be doing is Mahjong introduction, because we have a good friend, Pamela Walsh, that has just become such an expert and is having so much fun traveling around and hosting tournaments, being a part of it, meeting new people that way. And, for example, I think a lot of us get a new hobby, right? After
a little bit of free time now that you're not sitting around drinking all the time, right?
Yeah.
I've never tried. I've seen Mahjong. I've never tried it.
Yeah.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
I have not a clue how to play it.
And you can play it on your phone too.
Oh, well, there you go. Might be a way to start.
We could do that.
Probably more fun to learn in person at an event with a real.
I think it would be a lot more fun at your event. I think. Yeah, I think. And then I want to ask you, like, I know you started this at a restaurant. So And it's probably, I mean, we in the Midwest, it kind of, everything has to get to us, kind of seems like we're last. I mean,
Comes to the East Coast or the West
it might
Coast.
hit Chicago, but like right here in the middle, we do not, well, it's getting
You
to us.
wait a minute.
We
Yeah.
do wait a minute. But I
Okay.
was going to say, like, when you now go into restaurants, is the NA options, are they just available now?
Okay. About a year and a half ago, I would have said, even here in health conscious Southern California, I think it's 5 to 10% of the menus. Okay, but we both know that's changed in the past year and a half. Now it's pretty often, like maybe 40% of the time, I see some kind of zero proof menu. Everybody is feeling like they need to have one now here, but it was slow in Southern California, in my opinion. Honestly, I think there were a lot of pockets that were way ahead, like Austin, for example, like the New England, those states were a
Okay.
lot
Yeah.
when we visited there and people that we talked to. So it's coming here. My opinion is a lot of the mocktails on the menu are not great, but I also really appreciate that they're making an effort and they're trying. So I think, the restaurants, they need our feedback, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, because we had one that they made a really good mocktail, but the presentation was horrible. So it could have been, and it was when we went back because we suggested it. Should have been in like a nice big wine glass or something, but they put it in the same cup they put their water glass, which was like a mason jar. And I'm like, dude, you're charging me $11 for this drink. It tastes great. It presents well.
That's a
It's
start.
dumb glass. I'm like, and we went back the next time, and sure as heck, it was put in a wine glass.
They had changed it.
Yeah.
We're like, thank you.
Yes.
First, I mean, that's what we said. Thank you so much for having this because it's so good. But please.
Here's a tip. But I think that's what we learn in this space, right? Of if you go at it with the proper attitude of just educating and just ask the question, like, could you, would you, have you thought of? And if enough of us are out here asking the question to enough locations, you start to see this steady tick up in menus because, like, oh, people are asking for it, and I can charge $11 for this drink that doesn't have alcohol in it, just like I can charge that for the one that does, and it's all about the money. So it shouldn't matter to them, right? It's like, hey, you want to pay $11 for a drink? I'll sell it to you.
Right. And I'm honestly really happy to pay that when it's well done. And especially, when it includes like an alcohol-free spirit or some specialty alcohol-free products. And I think it's a really nice way to go. Even, a pre-canned, ready-to-drink option is nice for restaurants because, they can't really mess that one up.
Right. Yeah. Liars. They have their canned ones that are good. We like theirs.
We'll have to make another suggestion to one of our favorite restaurants.
Yeah, they can just do I forget about the canned ones because you're right. That's an easy. You don't have to mix. You don't have it, and that's why I think a lot of them carry the NA beers. It's easy. It doesn't go bad. I can just pop a can out. It's not on draft. That's the one thing we don't have here is draft NA beer. But someday.
Yeah, it'll come.
So I wanted to ask another question. How was this received in your personal life?
Oh, me being alcohol free?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that. Well, I think it's been good for both of us, all of us, but it's taken a little adjusting, right? And I have to be honest that when I was drinking at a party or a barbecue in the past, I could be pretty annoyed with somebody that wasn't drinking at all or never finished their first drink. Like, what are you still doing here? So,
yeah.
So, I think that we all had to be sort of gracious to one another in that sense. And I would say it took quite a bit of time. And here's the other thing about that, because when you decide that you're giving up alcohol, most of us, like, I didn't share that story with everybody. So you can't really expect your friends that you've been drinking with for a long time to understand your process. I think for, I don't know, quite a while, they thought, oh, well, like Susie just stopped drinking. Well,
Right.
there's a little more to the story. You don't just stop drinking. You
Right.
just you just don't do that. You've got to review some things. You've got to try out some things. You've got to be curious. And so they weren't really a part of that process, right, until later down the road. So I I think there was grace given, and probably we all, left events sometimes shaking our head like, what's going on? Or what, it takes some getting used to. I still love to hang out with my friends and family that drink alcohol. I personally, I have given up I can't really think of a friend that I've given up, honestly. I know, again, that's different for everybody too. But I also think it's really important to connect with a community, with a group of people, with some coaching like you offer, with people that do not drink alcohol too, or you just might think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and what'd your husband think so you quit? And Amy and I sort of had this scenario. Like, I knew she was quitting, and then she's like, "I don't think I'm ever going to drink again." And I'm like, "Oh, crud." Okay. So what'd your husband think? Okay, so at first you quit, but then
Yeah.
you're running, sober in the city, so you really can't. You're for sure not going to start drinking again, because that would be really weird if you're
That's
drinking
awkward,
anymore.
right?
That's a weird conversation to have. So,
Right.
what was your husband's kind of response through this whole journey?
Yeah, and by the way, too, I used to really enjoy pretending not to drink, right? With a pretend drink in your hand, but that gig ran out too. When yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say that it's been an adjustment for us too. And one of the things that I wrote down right away that I was concerned about not drinking alcohol, was connecting with my husband. And so, it is a little bit different. There is one thing: we really enjoy golfing together, actually, especially when we, take a little bit of time off or something. So that's, I guess that's one thing I would say to consider, is maybe taking up some kind of hobby together, or trying something new that
Right.
you enjoy together, because it is different. But he's pretty proud of me too. So
Wow.
that's pretty cool.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is, I know when I quit, because I quit before Matt, and people are like, what? And he always, he was always there to support me. I was not anticipating him ever quitting, ever. That was
Right.
not even, I figured that this is just
Yeah.
going to be what I'm going to do, and it'll be fine. And I had talked to a lot of people, and I did Sober Sis too. And I just remembered several people, I don't know who it was in the different groups, but just saying that their relationships improved, even with them being the only person who wasn't drinking, who had quit drinking. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. That's,
I,
yeah,
and
awesome.
being able to, yeah, and to being able to connect. And I remember just being outside, making, keeping the ritual, especially in the beginning. It was like,
Right.
hanging on, like, okay, am I going to do this? And like making my little fancy mold up, I don't know, some kind
Whatever.
of
Yeah.
shrub, and making my own little mixology thing there, and going outside and just enjoying having a conversation with you and
I think. Yeah.
connecting. And
I think that's the important part, is
yeah.
a supportive spouse. Like, they don't necessarily have to quit drinking. That we've had a few guests who it didn't work out, or it was a challenge, because not only did the spouse not quit drinking, but they were sabotaging the other person. Right. Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, give each person their own journey. That's kind of Amy, like, and I knew at the time, like, I should probably cut back. So I tried modified moderation, or what do you want to call it? But at the same time, I was supporting her. I wasn't trying to do things to sabotage her. And it sounds like your husband has done the same thing of like supporting you on your own journey to betterment.
Yeah, from what my experience is, it tends to go one way or the other, because
right.
sometimes people are drinking to tolerate a relationship that's kind of rough. But yeah, my husband has made the comment like, well, honey, you're just a little ahead of your time, because I mean, come on, folks. Did you have any idea 5 years ago that you would be this trendy now here in 2025? What the heck?
I know. Isn't it funny? It's like, we're like
we're
trendsetters.
A little bit ironic, isn't it?
It is. But
but I love that you started Sober in the City. I think it's awesome.
I do too.
Because we had the opportunity to go to a Sands Bar event up in Chicago one time, and it
was great.
Whether it's a Sands Bar, Sober in the City, anything, any event nearby, if you have a chance to go be with your community of like-minded sober people, it is the most amazing experience. Everybody is so nice, and it's such a rarity to be in an environment that is 100% AF, right?
Right.
That's what it's all about. And it's all about you, because we spend most of our time as AF people trying to battle against a world that's 90% alcohol, right? That to be in a place that's nothing but your world is something we don't experience, right? We don't have a Benny's or a Total Wine full of AF stuff like the rest of the world has alcohol. So to go to a place like you create is just fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. I think it levels the playing field a bit, right? And it just, you can take a little exhale, walk in, we're all in the same space. I do believe, like most of us, met online, probably especially 5 years ago. You make connections, and there's a lot of different communities that you can be a member of. We have a membership now, a monthly membership where you can connect online as well. But I do believe that it is crucial to connect in person, not just online, but in person also. It's a lot easier now than it was a few years ago. But yeah, if you come to Sober in the City, you'll feel like alcohol-free is the most normal thing in the world.
I know.
And it is.
Yeah,
it is
and
normal.
someday we're going to be able to make it to one of your events, because it's like, doggone it, every single time I'm like, why? Why do we have a conflict?
Yeah. I know this year we're hitting a few, like it is graduation weekend for some universities, I know, and that's obviously a very special thing.
Right.
There's always something, but
there will be something, and it will come up. And I'm really, really excited for you and everything that you're doing in this space. And I've just enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more too on the Sober Hive. And I think that is that's a great space for people who are alcohol-free business owners who want to connect and have support. That is available as well. So.
And where do people go to sign up for Sober in the City?
Well, we would love to see you at zeroproofexperiences.com. Also, love to hear from you on my Instagram, Zeroproof Experiences.
Awesome.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Susie, for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Susie, for sharing your story and telling us about Sober in the City. Really wish we were going to be able to make this next one, but sadly, we will not.
Well, and also she mentions, and so we're going to put the links to her Instagram for Zeroproof Experiences. She mentioned and talked about how they're going on this wine tour in Germany. And I just was able to watch her do a live talking about that. So go out to her Instagram, which is Zeroproof Experiences, I believe, and we'll put the link and everything in there. So
check it out.
I would love, and I mean, I'm not going to go into that, but I guess apparently
that's the thing.
It is, and in Germany, that's where de-alcoholizing wine started.
Huh? Who would think the Germans would do that? I don't know, all the beer fests and everything, you would think they'd be the last ones to
Back in
dealcoholized.
I think they say 1907 or something
wow.
crazy like
Old-timey.
that. Very old-timey.
All right, kids. Well, that's it for this old-timey week. All right, I'm Matt, along with Coach Amy, wishing you peace and love from the cornfields. And we are
out.